everybody. Welcome to this episode of Elements to Elevate by 180 Elevate. Each month, we laser focus and dig deeper into an area of life which we truly believe is an element to uplift our perspectives and humanity. From insight to action, the path to elevate your mind, body, and soul starts here. In today's episode about Embodying Alchemy, we have Ashley McDaniel, Executive Director at Estee Lauder Companies. Estee Lauder needs no introduction, being the maker of skincare, makeup, perfumes, and hair care products. She is a driven retail industry leader with over 15 years of experience and is a strategic thinker with a passion for leading and mentoring others. Welcome, Ashley.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here today.
Thank you. Thank you for being on our show. Now, at its core, alchemy is quite simple. It is an endeavor to take common elements and transmute them into something greater. Truly a science and not magic. So we would love to hear about your key learnings and takeaways on your journey from early career to this mentor that you are now.
Of course. My early career started at a very pivotal time in our world. I moved to New York City right out of college, right after 9/11, actually. And I had no job. I had 2 suitcases and a sublet for about 2 months. But I felt and was really driven to be here. Everyone remembers that day, and it postponed my plans a little bit, but I decided that I still wanted to come. I still wanted the challenge. I still wanted to drive myself to do it. And so I moved up, and really, honestly, back then there wasn't much internet. There was, you had to really submit a resume via fax. You had to go and knock on the door. And I landed at Ralph Lauren. And I fell into retail planning and store planning, where I just really fell in love with retail. It wasn't part of the plan. It was never part of the plan. And I think that's something that we all have to navigate with ourselves. But I started there. Had wonderful mentors. I've been very fortunate in my life to have great women mentors, which has been one of the secrets to my success, I think, honestly. But from there, from Ralph Lauren, I worked and learned about the retail industry, about the brand. Went from there to Coach, where I worked for 10 years in the fashion industry, doing somewhat of the same thing. But again, really learning from others and learning from the strong women mentors that I had. I was, again, so fortunate to have them. And then moving on to Estee Lauder about 2.5 years ago, I joined the company, and it was scary for me because every change I've made has been scary, right? And nobody likes a ton of change, but it's how you grow. And so I'm so thankful that I went through all of them, because I've been so fortunate to work at these fantastic companies and learn as much as I have along the way. But I think, for the story of the fashion and beauty industry, it's such a fun one because it changes all the time, right? And we're all about transforming, and we're all about rising to that next level. And I think the beauty and fashion industry that's at its core.
I agree with you 100%. Having a mentor is pivotal for growth, for sure. And
100%.
we're all here to be better version of our own selves. So what advice would you give to people who want to break free from the unrealistic beauty standards that the media poses, not follow the herd mentality and be cloning each other?
Totally. I think this is something that is really about being true to yourself. Right. We're all encouraged right now to embrace diversity and to embrace others, and to lead with love, and to really, surround ourselves with an understanding. And I think now is such a great time to break through that. We all are wearing, or trying out different things that affect ourselves. And we've all been locked in our houses for 1.5 years. So I think we're all ready to throw on some makeup and throw on something different and walk out the door. But, for me, it's really about being true to yourself and having that confidence from within to say, this is who I am. This is what I'm going to represent. And this is how I want to represent myself.
Great. And never been a better time to be on the planet. I think we're very blessed to be here at this time. And
I agree.
even though it comes with a price because there's so many deadlines and demands. So how do you create more time in your life for self-care while still focusing on your goals?
Well, there can't be 30 hours in the day, right? So I think we all are dealing with this right now, especially now that work has invaded home and the
Mm-hmm.
lines are so blurred. For me, it's really about taking a minute, and
Mm-hmm.
whether or not it's 5 minutes or an hour or 30 minutes of time for yourself, and trying to balance. I think what's really important for me is that I pick a thing to put first, right? One day it's going to be my kids. The next day it's going to be my work. The next day it might be myself, but it's never
Mm-hmm.
going to be the same across the day. It just can't be. And so I think as long as you're able to find that moment, find that balance where you can do something for yourself. I'm a big fan of walks. I'm a big fan of
Mm-hmm.
a podcast. Just taking a minute for yourself to really reflect and to have that time is so important and so pivotal, and it makes you a better leader, a better spouse, a better friend, a better coworker. It really is that self-care that you have to do for yourself.
Yeah, walks and walking in nature is something I discovered during the last 2 years too, and such a game changer because you really get to connect with the
Yeah.
universe in its own. And
Yeah, I'm a big hiker. I'm a big hiker, and
mm,
I love to throw on some hiking shoes and wear it when I can,
mhm.
and do that. It's refreshing, and it's really, it kind of nourishes the soul a bit, if you will.
Yeah, I was all indoor gym person and yoga studio. They had to lock the yoga studios to get me out in the open, but I'm glad it happened
I get it.
because
I get it.
and so personal transformation is all about honoring who you are. I don't think we make mistakes or we're wrong. We're just doing the best we can based on the knowledge, understanding, and awareness that we have. So, what does personal transformation mean to you?
Personal transformation for me is really about growth. To your point, I agree with you. I don't think we make mistakes. I think everything we do, we learn from it.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as you can be kind to yourself and learn from the mistakes and apply it to a future endeavor or a future situation, you're growing, you're transforming. Growth means a lot of things. I think growth is spiritual, it's physical, it's emotional. Um, it's all those things. And I think as long as you continue to do that, you're transforming. I think we've all transformed a lot in the past year and a half,
Mm-hmm.
and I know I certainly have, for hopefully for the better. And I think that there's a lot to say about just taking the moment to sit back and reflect. And I think that is where we really start to grow.
Yeah, and just looking back and seeing how far you have come rather than comparing to anyone else. Because
A hundred
sometimes
percent.
sometimes we forget to look back and say, wow, it's progress, and be
Yeah.
self-kind and compassion on that.
Yeah.
And
I have
as
to remind myself to do that, to be
we
kind to
all
myself.
do.
We're not, it's not easy. And I have to all the time just remind myself to be kind and to just give myself a break every now and again.
Compassion is one of the highest frequency emotions in my mind, too. But as we're getting ready to move out of this pandemic and throwing our masks out, I feel inside we're still in a very vulnerable state.
Yeah.
And we have to be very connected to how we're feeling and consciously make that decision to increase our frequency. So, any tools that you recommend for that?
You know, I love this question because I think it's so personal, right? And I think that, I'm married and have a 2-year-old son and a 4-year-old son.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that we really instilled during COVID was to take the time after our workday and make it family time. And before the bath, before the dinner, before the checking of the emails that we all do before we go to bed, we made a moment. We made a pact to say, you know what, this is family time. And this hour to an hour and a half, some days it was only 30 minutes, but we tried, was family time. And I think just that connection and that uninterrupted time to actually have a conversation and not look at your phone and not be bothered by the news and not be overwhelmed with whatever's happening on the internet, and to just have that uninterrupted time with whatever you choose to be. It could be with your dogs, it could be with yourself, but I think just having an uninterrupted moment. And we really come to expect it, and our kids expect it. Our kids, every day say, okay, family time, what are we doing? And it's really refreshing because it forces my husband and I to do it now that they want to do it and it's part of their day. We want to do it.
I think kids in that way are our biggest gifts because they keep us grounded. And rituals are very important because it's that place everybody can come back to. Yeah. And it's that grounding moment for everyone. So that's gorgeous. That's beautiful. Thank you so much. This was very insightful, and I'm sure a lot of people will take away a lot of important and good tips from here. Thanks so much. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so nice. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was a wonderful segment with Ashley. Great takeaways. What was your favorite?
Lot of favorite parts. But one thing that really stood out for me was when she talked about personal transformation as about growing your own self versus comparing it with others. You're not in a race with anyone, but at the same time, taking what you like in others and making them your mentors. So instead of feeling, oh, why does this one have it, or why does that one have it, truly make them your mentors and imbibe what works for you in your own life. That was very insightful.
And in today's world, there's been so much controversy over the differences that we have as humanity. And, you had a pivotal question for her is, what are the unrealistic or realistic expectations of that one should have in the beauty industry? I loved her response about embracing diversity. A lot of times we say, let's not do this, let's not be discriminatory, don't see color. It's almost kind of saying, don't say all of that, but embrace it. Understand the differences, comprehend the differences, and embrace change. Embrace something that's different than you. So that was something beautifully said by her in our world today.
Coming up next, we have a masterclass by Don Farnan, the founder of .Connect. She is a conscious leader with a passion for connecting talent with their dream jobs through understanding their values and aligning their professional lives with passions so that they can create a life that matters. Enjoy her insights.
Hello there, everyone out there. My name is Don Farnan, and I'm here to tell you my story of self-healing after burnout. To introduce myself a little further, I just want to share with you that I am a humble student of the world, a deep thinker, an Enneagram 1, which is the reformer, a lover of the ocean, a mother, a conscious connector, and the founder and CEO of .Connect, a global talent advisory. As I said, I'm here to tell you the story of how I blossomed after burnout. It's a process. I'm still in what I would consider the very early days of my self-healing journey. And every day I realize it's a process and it takes time. And I peel back the layers of my trauma and feeling the deep feelings that I've buried for many years. It's hard emotional labor. And that's why it's called work. There really isn't a day that goes by or a week that goes by when I'm not tested or triggered, and where I don't even question my own path or my purpose. There was just so much friction inside of me. And I just know that my egoic mind was fighting with my presence. And with each trigger, I realized that I have a choice, and the choices I make will either support my healing path or detract me from it. But I will keep choosing peace in my heart because I know that I deserve it. It was in about January of 2021 when my coach, Angie, told me that I was ready to read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And I didn't really know what she meant by ready to read the book, but I thought, of course, in my mind, I was always ready. I was born ready. Being an Enneagram 1, a reformer, a hyperachiever, and a recovering perfectionist, I felt like I could read the book in 5 minutes, which is basically what I did. So I read the book and I sat with my thoughts for a while and my observations and my learnings and all this new awareness. It really just made a lot of light bulbs go off in my head. And I felt this spark kind of flare up from my heart, a feeling that I really hadn't felt in a long time, a calling back home to spirit, divine, universe, God, whatever you want to call it. That's the call that I felt when I finished that book. So thus began my spiritual journey. And I'll admit that initially it felt a little weird to feel a call or an energetic pull inward to myself, really wanting to know more and be more and feel more and go deeper in my own consciousness. But at the same time, it felt right and aligned and easy and effortless. And things just started lining up for me in ways that only the universe would understand. I remember I was in a core group meeting in February for Chief, and our guide asked us a question about our goals and our purpose for the year and what we're setting out to do. And she said, well, who's setting pace for you with these goals and this purpose and your calling? And I remember just saying and watching the jaws drop on the call that the universe was setting pace for me, and that I really felt like for once in my life, I was connected to source and divine, and that there was a bigger plan and purpose for me. So shortly after that, I felt an intense call to the ocean. And having grown up in Southern California, not seeing the ocean through the whole pandemic really impacted my mental well-being. So I told Angie, my coach, that I missed the ocean, and I really felt like I needed to go be closer to the ocean and try and connect with my grandmother's spirit again. But I was just too busy and I couldn't go. So I couldn't make it out to the shore. We live in New Jersey and the beach was quite a far drive away. But Angie, in her gentle Angie way, put me in check a little bit, told me to get over myself, get in the car and start driving. And the only person who was too busy was my ego, ensuring that I wouldn't create any joy in my life. So that's what I did. I got my car and I went out to Montauk. And that week in March quickly became one of the most pivotal weeks of my life. Baxter, my son, was on spring break with us. It was freezing cold out east, but the vast kind of horizon of the ocean in front of me just really gave me the space that I needed in my mind and my heart. But at the same time, my partner and I were on two different wavelengths in terms of our trip and even just spiritual journey at the time. So while I was going deeper inward with my spiritual journey, he was projecting issues outward through other modalities like drinking and other things. So when we returned home the following week, it was Saturday afternoon and something had come over me. I was sitting upstairs and I just remember feeling like I had to say something because I wasn't happy in our marriage anymore. And I had had enough of the partying and the drinking and living like roommates, and the pandemic just really all hitting me at that time. Now, March of 2021 being really a year into it, and enough feeling lonely in my marriage. So I was done. And so this is a quote from the book. Any action is often better than no action, especially if you've been stuck in an unhappy situation for a long time. If it is a mistake, at least you learn something, in which case it's no longer a mistake. If you remain stuck, you learn nothing. So that really inspired me to take action. So I went downstairs and I told him that something's got to give. Either we get help, go to therapy, or we split up. And he quietly walked away, and then I cried harder. And in my mind, I was just thinking, like, is he even listening to me? What the hell? Does he even care? Why won't he talk to me? I was just so hurt and so angry. But in our normal way, we swept it under the rug, and I didn't really truly feel heard or acknowledged. So I woke up on Monday morning and I just stuck to my boundary, and I wasn't happy. We weren't happy. We needed help, and I just didn't want to keep going the way we were. So I told him to leave. And I was really scared, and I was unsure of what damage that might cause my son. But at the same time, I was really going to stick with speaking my truth, holding my boundary, and prioritizing my peace over everything else. So he left for what felt like the longest 2 weeks of my life. I picked up Baxter from school the first day, and he told me that he would show me how to take care of him, since that was more of Daddy's job and not really mine. And that just hit me straight in the heart. And I held back tears, but we ended up making a really good plan for a couple of weeks, and I was thrown into the midst of being a working mother instead of just being the worker, and my husband being the caretaker. And there was a lot of things that came up for me when I had that alone time without being codependent or being enabling to my partner and vice versa. First, I knew I still loved him, but I wasn't willing to settle for an unhealthy love anymore. Second, I knew that we were both responsible for the marriage deteriorating for years. And third, I knew whatever happened at this point was because I was staying in line with my boundaries and my values. So after some silence and some texts and some emails and conversations, he came home, but the caveat would be that we would both be sober and we'd be in therapy for a long time until we sorted this mess out. So after he got home, we made it through the first few therapy sessions, and I've got to be honest, they really sucked. If I felt my chest contract with everything I was listening to him say, and I had to keep my mouth shut, and therapy just didn't feel like it was resonating with me. So soon after we started our therapy sessions, I was invited to go to a Conscious Leaders retreat in Tulum. And initially the timing didn't feel aligned because we were just getting back into our routine together. And was I really going to go off and run off to this retreat while my marriage was falling apart? I decided to ask Gully, my partner, if he thought it would be okay, because I really felt called to be in Tulum. I thought there was something there for me that I needed to see. So I felt like something profound would happen. So I followed the call, and he was supportive. I went to the retreat, and we were invited to set our intentions for the trip. I was hoping for healing, and I really wanted to reconnect with my grandma's energy and spirit. I was feeling so lost. So on the first day of the retreat, we did a sunrise meditation. And as I walked down towards the beach, I remember this big, warm gust of wind wrapping around me, feeling as if I was being hugged. It was so strong. I felt like a person was there. And then I just knew it was her. I knew it was my grandma's presence, and tears were streaming down my face, and the tightness in my chest that I had been carrying for so long relented. And I just took a deep breath and I felt home. So the rest of the week was really filled with healing breathwork, creative play, meditation, song, dance, writing. I was able to go so deep into my being and release traumas that I was carrying for years. On my trip, I met this amazing medicine woman, Yerlin. And when I shared with her my situation about my marriage, she invited me to do some healing work with her and her husband in Costa Rica, a plant medicine ceremony with my partner to repair our marriage. I was intrigued, and I never really thought of anything like that before. I knew that therapy wasn't really working out for us, so I was open to try anything at this point. So when I got home, I told Gully about her offer, and I asked if he'd be willing to do something different and go with me to Costa Rica, essentially burning down our old marriage and starting with a fresh one after going deep into healing work. To my pleasant surprise, he was open to trying it. So off we went, just the two of us, to Costa Rica in May, the first trip, just us, in 10 years. And we were terrified. Would this be a mistake? Would we fight the whole time? What would come up in the healing journey? We had no idea. So we did a private plant medicine healing journey with Kenneth and Yerlin, and we went deep into the discomforts of our past trauma, deep into our resentment, our hurt, our anger, and we let it all go. We just cried it all out, and we shed these old stories, and we shed the pain and things that were clinging on to keeping the wall up between us. The next morning, we felt so much lighter, and we had a renewed sense of love and understanding and compassion for each other, and compassion for our marriage and what we've gone through and how much we were fighting for this. So while this was our only journey, this may not be what works for everybody, but it's what's worked for us. And it's probably one of the most single life-changing awakenings and experiences I've ever had. I'm forever grateful for the gifts that Mother Earth gives to us. And I hope that my story is giving you some hope, no matter what season you are in your own life. Just know that joy is possible, happiness is possible, and peace is possible if you're willing to do the work. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys soon.
Thank you for joining us today and elevating yourself. Charity should begin at home, but should not stay there. At 180 Elevate, it is our honor to support local and global philanthropies which make an impact on the lives of our beautiful children and the world in of itself.
What would this world look like if we all felt cared for? Let's co-create that new paradigm. If you would like to consider joining our philanthropic mission, please consider donating at 180elevate.com. And next is just a glimpse into one of the many philanthropies our organization supports.
I just fell in love. I said, this school is doing exactly what I'm wishing that the school I'm working at right now is doing. And I thought, I gotta be here.
Environmental Charter Schools is a growing network of public charter schools serving South Los Angeles. I started Environmental Charter Schools because I wanted to create a place that was going to be fun to come to work every day.
Oh, okay. This is what happens at the school. I wanted to be part of it right away. A place that you're happy to work at, you're doing what you love, and then you have a supporting staff.
Teachers here are committed and they're fun.
They take risks, they're challenging themselves.
We ask our teachers to work incredibly hard. We ask them to collaborate with one another. We are an interdisciplinary school.
We definitely make the time to come together and collaborate and share ideas.
Everyone's just working together to strive for the same mission, to meet the same goal, which is to make our community better.
The walls between the classroom and the community are just non-existent here. I feel like we're trying to change the way education looks.
We support our students to get into a four-year university.
Many of them are first in their families to go to college.
Camping is something that I've never really done. Last year in the spring, I went with our 8th grade girls to Channel Island, like actually sleeping in tents, hiking.
When they're away and they're in the wilderness, they don't have video games, they don't have cell phones. You know, it's back to basics out there.
Environmental Charter High School doesn't have a school garden. The whole school is growing fruit, vegetables, native plants.
We have a river on campus and there's fish in it.
From the moment students walk onto campus, they see an environment that mirrors how much we value them.
They know that when they're not here, we're going to miss them.
I think what makes us special is the level of respect that we have for our students and our students have for adults here on campus.
They get a lot of love here.
I love these kids. You know, I wouldn't be here if I didn't. I love these kids.
1, 2, 3. If you're down to create new models and implement them and completely fail and then try again, this is the place.
You need to have a space where you can grow and take risks as a grown-up.
You feel like you're becoming a better professional, a better teacher, and that's the goal.
I really feel like I found my perfect job.
But it's not until you step foot on our campus that you really fully understand what's happening here.
It's hard to explain.
I can't even describe it. You have to see it.